I'm Katie Couric. High anxiety. NASA delays the return of Atlantis while it tries to determine if there's something wrong with the shuttle. Back on Earth, the United Nations takes up a world of problems. But two key players, President Bush and Iran's president, keep their distance. Imagine his nightmare, a Canadian deported by U.S. officials, imprisoned and tortured in Syria. But it turns out he wasn't a terrorist after all. CBS News investigates. And if there's anything else you want to know, just ask this man. He knows about everything. A certified genius in our midst.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Hi, everyone. The space shuttle program has been dogged by problems, and tonight there is another one. The shuttle Atlantis was supposed to return tomorrow from a 12-day mission, but something may have gone wrong up there, and the trip home is being delayed for at least a day. Let's go first to CBS News correspondent Bob Orr at the Kennedy Space Center. Bob, what's happening?
Hi, Katie. This might be a very big deal or no threat at all. The problem is NASA doesn't know which it is, so tomorrow's scheduled landing of the shuttle has been put off for at least a day. And engineers now are working to see if they can bring 6 astronauts safely home. At 2:45 this morning, a camera aboard the shuttle spotted the trouble. An object, NASA says it's impossible to tell its size, could be seen floating just below Atlantis. And then, just after noon, shuttle astronauts took this picture of a second mystery object. NASA so far has not identified either, and that's the problem. The objects could be something harmless that drifted out of the shuttle's cargo bay, or breakaway pieces of tile or insulation needed to protect Atlantis during its fiery re-entry. Just 3.5 years ago, a hole in the heat shield of one of its wings doomed Columbia and the 7 astronauts aboard. The wings in the belly of Atlantis have already been checked twice, once after launch and again yesterday, and cameras picked up no cracks or holes. But now, with the mystery debris, a third inspection is expected.
This is something that we've seen. We're going to go make sure it's safe for us to come home, and we have plans in place if it turns out the other way.
If it turns out Atlantis does have critical damage, astronauts could attempt to do an in-flight repair with a thick goo used to fill small holes and cracks. Or Atlantis could head for safe harbor on the space station and await rescue. Now, for much of the day, NASA was also worried about sensors on the right wing picking up possible vibrations that could have been consistent with impact of space debris. Engineers now are confident that didn't happen, but those floating objects remain a mystery and therefore a potential threat. Katie?
All right, Bob Orr. Bob, thanks very much. Also helping us cover this developing story tonight is our CBS News space analyst, Bill Harwood, who's also from the Kennedy Space Center. Bill, if the shuttle really is damaged and the astronauts have to return to the International Space Station, how long might they be stranded there?
Katie, using the space station as a safe haven is now a standard part of NASA's post-Columbia safety planning. They have enough supplies on board to support both crews until late October or early November, which is how long it would take NASA to get the shuttle Discovery ready to launch on a rescue mission. And
if the shuttle is that damaged, what would be the overall impact, Bill, on the shuttle program itself?
Truly a worst-case scenario, Katie, a repair problem up there that can't be fixed. The administrator of NASA, Mike Griffin, is on the record as saying the loss of another shuttle would prompt him to end the program, and that in turn would end U.S. manned space flights until a replacement could come online sometime after 2010. But that's a worst-case scenario. It may well not come to that. This could be a false alarm or something they can fix in orbit.
All right, Bill Harwood. Bill, thanks so much for your perspective tonight. We appreciate it. Meanwhile, closer to home, President Bush and other leaders from 192 nations have assembled at the United Nations here in New York to tackle crises in every corner of the world. And there is a lot to deal with, including Iran's nuclear ambitions, turmoil in the Middle East, the war in Iraq, and the suffering in Darfur. Here is Chief White House Correspondent Jim Axelrod.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
For the last time as UN Secretary General, Kofi Annan welcomed world leaders and then quickly painted a dire picture.
People in all parts of the world are threatened, though some are more aware of it than others, by the spread of weapons of mass destruction.
And then, as if on cue, reality reminded everyone of the threat of instability. This time in Thailand, where the military launched a coup. This is the week where the world's most powerful rivals, enemies, and allies all share the same halls in New York. but for all the leaders gathered in one place today.
To the people of Iran, the United States respects you.
The president used the platform to speak directly to the people of the Islamic countries the U.S. finds itself at odds with. Iran, for instance. The president is here to line up allies to pressure Iran to give up any plans for nuclear weapons.
Despite what the regime tells you, we have no objection to Iran's pursuit of a truly peaceful nuclear power program.
Tonight, addressing a chamber well over half empty, Iran's President Ahmadinejad criticized the United States in clear, direct terms.
Some seek to rule the world relying on weapons and threats, while others live in perpetual insecurity and danger.
For all the anticipated drama of President Ahmadinejad and President Bush being in the same place at the same time, they didn't even see each other. Mr. Ahmadinejad didn't go to Mr. Bush's speech, and the president certainly didn't go to the Iranian leader's talk. Jim Axelrod, CBS News, New York.
Perhaps no country has more at stake in Iran's nuclear aspirations than Israel, and for good reason. Less than 1,000 miles separate the two countries, and Iran's president has threatened Israel's very existence. Earlier, I spoke with Israel's Foreign Minister, Tzipi Livni. Will Israel allow Iran to develop nuclear weapons?
I believe that the world, not only Israel, cannot afford a nuclear Iran. I would like also to add, I think that the fact that the Iranian president, the one who mocked the Holocaust, denies the Holocaust, speak openly and publicly about his vision of wiping Israel off the map, I think that this kind of person should not be invited to the United Nations. I believe that his speech here today, it is outrageous. And I believe that this kind of president cannot be a member of the family of nations.
If Iran continues to thumb its nose at the United Nations, would Israel consider military action to stop it from building a bomb?
Israel supports the efforts of the international community to stop Iran in promoting its nuclear plan in diplomatic means.
That doesn't answer the question, though.
I know that. Israel works with the international community. We believe that sanctions can work, and I believe that this is the right thing to do right now.
Meanwhile, as Congress debates how to treat terror suspects, a little-known but very controversial practice is suddenly getting a lot of attention. It's called rendition. The U.S. secretly deports suspects to another country where torture is allowed. It happened to a Canadian man, and it turns out he was no terrorist. Chief Investigative Correspondent Armin Katayan has his story.
In September 2002, Maher Arar, a Canadian citizen born in Syria, was making a connection through a New York airport when he says he became collateral damage in the war on terror.
They arrested me. They never told me what they had against me.
Acting on a tip from Canadian intelligence that this computer consultant was an Islamic extremist with suspected ties to al-Qaeda, U.S. authorities locked up Arar in isolation for 12 days before secretly whisking him away to Syria, a country with a reputation for torture in a practice known as rendition.
I was a disappeared person. My family did not know where I was. I knew I was sent to Syria to be tortured.
Beyond beatings with a 2-inch thick cable, a charge denied by Syria, Arar says he was held in a 6-foot underground cell he calls a grave.
This underground cell ended up being my home for the next 10 months and 10 days.
But now an exhaustive inquiry led by a Canadian judge concludes Arar's living nightmare was a horrific mistake. That intelligence tying him to terrorism was inflammatory, completely inaccurate, and should not have been given to the Americans.
I was extremely happy that he cleared my name. I would like the U.S. government to remove my name, my wife's name, and my kids' names from the watch list.
Despite Arar's experience, this former counterterrorism official says rendition does have its place.
I think it allows us to have the option to move a person who is involved in terrorism or terrorism-related activities to a country where they can be effectively questioned or prosecuted.
For his part, Arar has sued both the U.S. and Canada for damages. But what he really wants is an apology.
And I think that will mean a lot to me.
Today, Attorney General Alberto Gonzales said Amar's case was not a rendition, but a deportation, adding, quote, "I'm not aware that he was tortured."
All right, Armin Katayan. Armin, thank you so much. Thousands of American servicemen and women will not be coming home for the holidays after all, and that tops our CBS News briefing tonight. The military had hoped to cut U.S. troop strength in Iraq to 100,000 by the end of the year. But with no let-up in the violence, the head of Central Command, General John Abizaid, said today a force of more than 140,000 will remain in Iraq at least until spring. In Hungary, thousands protested for a second day, demanding the socialist prime minister resign. This follows the leak of a secret tape on which he admits he lied about the size of the budget deficit before he won election. In this country, a warning today for parents and parents-to-be. A new study says a third of all cases of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder can be linked to either mothers who smoke while they're pregnant or to exposure to lead after the baby is born. Nearly 4 million children have ADHD. And we want to remind you that the CBS Evening News has gone multimedia. We're simulcast on many CBS radio stations and on our website, so if you're near a computer, click us on at cbsnews.com. Coming up next, cows and pigs, donkeys and elephants. What the Missouri State Fair can show me and you about the upcoming battle for Congress.